Are you struggling with paying your property tax online in Lafayette Parish? Well, you are definitely not alone. Every single year, property owners across the state get that familiar tax bill in the mail. And honestly, trying to navigate those digital portals, figure out the whole dual authority system, and dodge those steep penalties, it can feel incredibly overwhelming. But don't worry, we're going to dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer where we are breaking down the absolute stress-free way to handle your property taxes in Lafayette Parish using digital tools. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly how to save time, skip the hassle, and most importantly, protect your property. Tax season, right? It usually brings a whole headache of lost bills, confusing websites, and that looming fear of late fees. Now, the shift toward online payments was supposed to bring us simplicity and convenience, but let's be real. If you don't know the specific, quirky rules of Lafayette Parish, Louisiana, it can actually cause way more headaches. Today, we're changing that. I'm going to guide you through a crystal clear, step-by-step solution to digitally managing your taxes so you can securely pay your bill and completely avoid ever becoming delinquent. So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 1. Understanding property taxes, 2. The parish versus city system, 3. Navigating the portals, 4. Completing your digital payment, 5. Those strict deadlines and penalties, and finally, Section 6, expert tips and support. Let's get started. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Understanding Property Tax. Your tax dollars literally shape the community around you. Local governmental entities here in Louisiana rely heavily on these taxes to fund essential services right in Lafayette Parish. We're talking about educating kids in local schools, supporting law enforcement, and paving the roads we drive on every day. It also covers libraries, public health units, drainage, and even mosquito control. Without these property taxes, the basic infrastructure of the community just simply couldn't function. Now, you might be wondering, how do they actually calculate my specific bill? There is this huge misconception out there that the assessor decides how much tax you pay. Actually, scratch that. It's more like this. The assessor's primary job is simply to figure out the fair market value of your property. And here in Louisiana, properties are reassessed every 4 years. Once that base value is set, the actual taxing authorities, like the city parish, the school board, the sheriff, they're the ones who decide the tax rate, which is called a millage rate, based on what they actually need to fund all those essential services we just talked about. Moving on to Section 2, the parish versus city system. Here's where it gets a little tricky, and it's a structural hurdle you really have to understand. Lafayette Parish operates on a dual tax system. If your property is outside the city limits or in consolidated municipalities like Carencro, Youngsville, Scott, or Doosan, your taxes are collected by the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, or the LPSO. But if your real estate sits inside the municipal limits of the city of Lafayette, you have a totally separate tax liability handled by the Lafayette Consolidated Government, the LCG. This means completely different web portals. The parish uses one URL while the city uses another. Knowing exactly where your property sits dictates which portal you absolutely have to use. Okay, listen up because this is a massive point. Regardless of whether you're paying on the parish portal or the city portal, partial payments are strictly prohibited online. No way around it. There are absolutely no exceptions here. Your standard annual balance has to be paid in full when you're using these digital platforms. All right, Section 3, Navigating the Online Portals. So, both the parish and city portals are actually run by a third-party vendor called i3 Verticals. To make sure you don't lose your data or get hit with a super frustrating failed payment, you have got to configure your web browser correctly first. Step 1, just make sure JavaScript is enabled so the search database can actually load. And Step 2, this is a big one. You must temporarily disable your pop-up blockers. The payment authorization screens and your electronic receipts, they rely entirely on those little pop-up windows. If you have strict security settings turned on, your whole transaction might get blocked right at the finish line. Once you get into the portal, you've got 4 different ways to look up your property. By far, the fastest and most accurate way is using the unique notice or bill number printed right at the top of that physical tax notice they mail you in November. If you don't have that handy, you can search by your parcel number, the taxpayer name, or your physical address. Just a quick pro tip, if you're searching by name or address and it's acting glitchy, try typing in just your last name or just the street number and the first word of the street name. That usually broadens the search enough to find it. Now, what if you lost the physical bill and you don't know your notice number? Don't panic. You can actually jump over to the Lafayette Parish Assessor's database at LafayetteAssessor.com to look up your parcel details. It's an awesome tool to verify your exact property identifiers and make sure you have the absolute correct information before you head back to the payment portal to check out.
Next up, Section 4, completing your digital payment.
You know how annoying convenience fees are, right? Well, under Louisiana law, public agencies are actually prohibited from absorbing private credit card processing costs. That means those third-party convenience fees are passed directly onto you, the taxpayer. If you're on the parish portal, you're going to see a variable, flat, or percentage fee depending on if you use a credit card or an e-check. But if you're paying municipal taxes on the city portal, the fee structure is basically the greater of 3.45% of your total tax transaction, or a flat $3.95. Generally speaking, paying by e-check is your most cost-effective online option, but it comes with a major warning.
$50. Yep, $50. That is the steep, automatic penalty you're going to get hit with for a returned e-check. This happens when a bank rejects the digital check because of insufficient funds, a closed account, or honestly, and this is the most common reason, a simple, tiny typo in the routing or account number.
Because of that crazy fee, you absolutely cannot rush the checkout process. You have to ensure your banking details are typed in perfectly. If your e-check gets rejected, not only do they slap that $50 fee directly onto your tax balance, but your privilege to pay online is completely revoked for that payment. You will literally be forced to drive down and physically hand-deliver a money order, a certified check, or cash just to clear the balance. It's a massive headache you definitely want to avoid.
That brings us to Section 5, deadlines, delinquency, and penalties.
Let's walk through exactly how this chronological timeline plays out, because the stakes are pretty high here. Bills get mailed out in November. December 31st is the absolute statutory deadline for standard, penalty-free tax clearance. If your payment isn't totally cleared by the end of the year, your account officially becomes delinquent on January 1st. And boom, a 1% interest rate starts accruing automatically every single month. By May, they start publishing delinquent property lists. Then we hit a literal brick wall. June 5th at exactly 4:30 p.m. At that exact moment, the online portals lock out all delinquent accounts. And finally, just days later, on June 10th and 11th, the annual delinquent tax lien auction happens online. So you can see how fast this spirals out of control. In February, extra administrative penalties and collection costs are tacked onto your base tax, plus that 1% monthly interest. By May, your property is literally being publicly advertised on a delinquent list for anyone to see. And once that June 5th deadline at 4:30 p.m. passes, all digital convenience ends. You can no longer pay online with a credit card or e-check. You have to go in person with certified funds just to stop your property's tax lien from being sold to the highest bidder on the auction block.
Finally, Section 6, expert tips and support.
If something goes wrong, you do not want to be bounced from department to department while you're stressing out. So here is your ultimate cheat sheet. If you have an issue with your property's valuation or you have questions about homestead exemptions, you need to contact the Lafayette Parish Assessor. If you're running into technical glitches with the parish billing portal or you've got questions about a parish-wide delinquent account, you call the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office Tax Department. But if your issue is specifically about a municipal bill inside the city limits, you have to contact the City of Lafayette Tax Office through the Lafayette Consolidated Government. Knowing exactly who to call saves so much time. So to wrap up our best practices for a totally seamless experience, number 1, pay early in December. Seriously, don't wait until New Year's Eve. Give the system ample processing time for the funds to actually clear your bank so you don't get hit with that January 1st interest. Number 2, remember what we said about pop-up blockers? Save all your digital receipts and screenshot those pop-up confirmations. You want proof of your timely payment. And number 3, always verify your jurisdiction, parish versus city, before you start typing in your credit card info. Just a quick legal heads up before we finish. While all this info is grounded in current Lafayette Parish operations, things like policies, portal URLs, and convenience fees can and do update over time. So please make sure to consult local tax authorities like the assessor or sheriff's office, or chat with your own financial advisors for personalized advice and just to double check you have the most up-to-date procedures. By understanding the whole dual city parish system, getting your web browser ready to go, and knowing exactly when those strict deadlines hit, you can absolutely master this process. So, armed with all this info, how will you streamline your property tax management this year? Embrace these digital tools, get that payment in early, and enjoy the peace of mind knowing your local obligations are securely handled. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more insights into efficient property management and mastering your local government services. See you next time.